Hello everyone, it's me, Professor Brian Cox, the man whose face you want to put in your super massive black hole. I have decided, after watching MikeRo Munch's videos, to also take part in the phenomenon called fantasy football this year. But even I, a master of physics at the University of Manchester with a doctorate in high energy particles, cannot figure out the conundrum of how to fit so many quality midfielders into my team. The sheer creativity and finishing ability of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Mohamed Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling, Bruno penalty-winning Fernandes, John Joe Shelby, all of these players, I find it so hard to fit them into my team. Fortunately, I know a man who can help me find some budget signings. That man is MikeRo Munch. A little disclaimer, it's probably not worth following his advice, but it's fun to see how not to do it. Thanks, Brian. Thank you for that. By the way, if you took the joke I made at the start dirtily, then you filth, all of you, honestly. But yes, hello everyone, welcome to another FPL video here on my channel where I've already gone through my 5 top budget defenders. It's time to move on to the budget midfielders. Now, midfield is probably the most crucial part of any fantasy football team because you can get 5 players in at any point, and obviously they are more of a goal scoring threat than defenders, while they also get the bonus clean sheet points, although it being 1, and they are more likely to get assists than any other player on the park. Naturally, because they're also in the middle of the park, they're more likely to get involved in all aspects of the game, which is always good for the bonus points. So, I've deduced a little list of 5 players that I think you should probably be keeping an eye on. And let's begin with my personal favourite one. And yes, while Newcastle may not. Now, we all know Steve Bruce, and we know he's not prone to fantastic attacking football, and therefore Newcastle might be a better team to look at when you go defensively. Having said that, anything good they do offensively will most likely come through this man, Allan Saint-Maximin. Safe to say he got off to a pretty slow start in the Premier League, but after lockdown, Saint-Maximin was absolutely incredible and started showing sensational signs of form in a Premier League team. He finished last season with 3 goals and 5 assists, 92 points overall in fantasy football, which obviously is not brilliant for a debut season, but he's just so explosive, and you kind of get the impression that while he's still young, he will get better over time and his composure will increase, and you expect the output to be a lot more. Partner that with the fact that he's only £5.5 million, and Newcastle don't have the worst starting fixtures in the world, and you could be looking at a very solid shout to start the season. Definitely my top pick of budget midfielders that you can get. And he is also followed by a player who follows a very similar pattern in Leandro Trossard. The Brighton midfielder finished last season with 5 goals and 5 assists, 104 points overall, so not too much more than Saint-Maximin, but in a very similar vein, also had a very good end to the season, especially just before and after lockdown. He was Brian, bloody hell. Apparently Brian's a football team on his own now, so if your name's Brian, well done, mate. Although Saint-Maximin is £500,000 cheaper, Trossard does represent a very good alternative and differential, owned by only 0.5% of players within the FPL community. The main reason for that may be something to do with his starting fixtures, where he plays Chelsea, United and Everton all within the first 4 game weeks, and it doesn't particularly get easier for Brighton after that. But towards the end of the season, probably a player that you might want to be getting in. It all depends on form. He is one of those players, no matter what team he's playing, he can cause havoc, and maybe, just maybe, as a differential option, cheap on your bench, is worth a punt. With Southampton finishing the season very strongly last year, James Ward-Prowse was at the fulcrum of everything good that they did. 5 goals and 4 assists last year may not amount to too much, but when you consider the form that Southampton finished with at the end of last season, and JWP providing a very good pivot in that midfield, combined with his set-piece specialist in the fact that he takes all the corners and obviously scores a number of free kicks, I can see him doing quite well this year. Again, only priced at £6 million and owned by a modest 3.3% of players within the FPL community. JWP is definitely someone I would consider, especially considering his fixtures are very good at the start of the season. It's unlikely he'll ever miss a game. He's got a pretty decent record with injuries, and I do feel that this could well be the year that the new England international steps into that role and becomes the leader that Southampton need him to be. One of my real tips for the season this year. Anyone that takes set pieces is always worth keeping on FPL, we all know that. And if you don't, good tip. One of my favourite players to have broken through into the Premier League in recent years, Dwight McNeil, represents fantastic value at only £6 million. When you look at it last year, he played a good number of minutes, is rarely ever injured, got 2 goals and 7 assists, and as he is still young, his consistency, his composure and his experience is going to get better, and I anticipate that this year he is going to have an even better haul than the 123 points that he got for you last year. Burnley notoriously do very well in the league, and they've overachieved in the last 2 seasons, it is probably worth saying. And he has been a crucial part of that, and he is Burnley's only real attacking outlet apart from the 2 big men up front. But someone's got to be swinging those deliveries in, and 9 times out of 10 it will be this man. Burnley's starting fixtures are not the kindest in the world because they don't have one in game week 1, then they go away to Leicester, but after that Southampton, Newcastle, West Brom, Tottenham and Chelsea, but both at home, as well as Brighton away and then Crystal Palace at home, represent a very solid first 10 fixtures, or 8 within the league. Hopefully, if you've got Dwight McNeil, he will definitely pay dividends for you, and then he's also got a lovely break between game weeks 13 and 20. Definitely a player I'm going to be keeping an eye on that may well make it into my own personal team. Plus his left foot is just, it's gorgeous. My last player doesn't even have a face apparently in game, but that's because he's come up with one of the newly promoted sides in the form of West Brom's Matías Pereira. For those that don't know much about Matías Pereira, he had sensational stats in the Championship, where he finished with 8 goals and 16 assists, so 24 goal involvements last year, in a team that did quite well and scored the second most amount of goals in the league. They're also pretty good at the back, West Brom, but going forward, anything that they do is going to be probably going through this man. The one real piece of Premier League quality seems to be coming from their Brazilian midfield orchestrator. He is another one that I've been having a look at myself, and to be fair to West Brom, their fixtures at the start of the season are pretty kind, and there are a few games in there where you do think there are potential for big hauls. He's got the potential to be an explosive player and get many goals and assists within one game, but he's also got a consistency to his game that will see him chip away, and I would imagine he will finish with at least double figures in terms of assists by the end of the season, and maybe get to around about 5 goals. If he does that at a modest £6 million, I think he is a potential differential option, only owned by 5.7% of the game. So there you have it. Obviously there are more players than that you could put in that would be a good shout for your team, but those are just 5 of my personal picks that I'm looking at putting into my own fantasy football team. And of course, if you think I'm completely wrong, why not come and prove it down in my fantasy football league? The code is down below in the description. The Munch Invitational is open to all. We've had a really good number of subscribers that want to come in already, and of course I will be keeping you all up to date on how that league goes and how my team performs week on week, and there will still be plenty of season preview videos before the season starts, hence why it's called a season preview video. Well done, Mike. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, then you know what to do. Drop a like on the video, share, subscribe, watch any of the other videos on the channel, whether it be FPL or something FM20 related or just a football discussion in general. There's plenty to enjoy here in the MikeRo community on the channel. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Remember, if you have, do like, share and subscribe, and until I see you for the next episode in my FPL series or anywhere else on the channel, take care of yourselves and stay cool.